Thanks, Rahul. Thanks for that. Meanwhile, Aditya Birla Nuvo is planning a 1,000 crore capex this financial year. The company plans to invest the money to expand its carbon black, insulators and garment businesses. However, a major part of the capex will be towards its life insurance business. Aditya Birla Nuvo today reported a widened loss at 141 crore rupees for the fourth quarter from 21.84 crore in the last quarter of the same fiscal. Well, let's move on to CAT now. After 2 years of planning and preparing, the Indian Institutes of Management, or IIMs, have finally decided to take the Common Admission Test, or CAT, online. From November this year, students will be able to take the exam on the internet, and that's not all. MBA aspirants now have the choice of choosing a date convenient to them over a specified period of 10 days. Remember, the CAT, or Common Admission Test, is mandatory to apply to the premier Indian Institutes of Management across Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Kolkata, Lucknow, Shillong, Indore and Kozhikode. In 2008, over 2.4 lakh aspirants took the CAT exam. The number is likely to rise substantially with the CAT going online from this year. And joining us to understand the implications of this is Shiva Kumar, is Director of Academics and R&D at Career Launcher. Thanks for joining us, Shiva Kumar. Tell us, what's the fundamental difference that students have to watch out for in this new form of examination?
Okay, when the test is moving from a paper-based, pencil and paper-based format to a computer-based format, one significant shift for the student would be the very nature of taking the test. For instance, taking a test from the paper is much more easier when compared to doing it over the screen. So it's a huge mental shift as well as huge amount of practice that was going to making oneself comfortable taking a test on the computer.
Right, but even correction-wise, it will be easier now. But how is that going to influence the test? Do you think there'll be lesser scope for mistakes, or it'll be more harsher in a way?
If you look at the transparency part of the testing, probably I think the most transparent system of testing was when the paper was given as a take-home after the student has finished the test. So you could actually catch the errors in the paper. But I'm not sure if this is intended to make the system a little more transparent. But definitely from the logistical point of view of corrections coming out with the results, it could make a significant shift as far as the IIMs are concerned.
Well, Shiva, to understand this a little bit better, when you say online examination, does the internet connection have to be on, or can you take the test offline and then seal the document and then mail it back? How exactly it works? Because given the kind of connections that we have, if it remains online, then there could be some problems.
Yeah, in fact, the nearest to this format that we have in India is the test called the BitSat. BitSat is a test where a student actually the student takes a test on the computer. The stuff is downloaded onto the computer, and I believe once the student submits the test, it gets kind of uploaded onto some database. So it's not going to be live on the web. That is my understanding of the computer-based test is. So we're not going to have the net connection breaking, and hence there's a disruption in test taking. I don't think that is the model that they have figured out.
Just would like to ask you, for rural students who come from rural areas are not very well versed with computers, this is a huge disadvantage. How do you see that panning out?
Definitely yes. It's a huge disadvantage for someone, not necessarily just rural students, anybody even in the city who is not used to accessing the web, does not work out much on the computer. But I guess 6 months is a good enough time, unless somebody says that I do not have access to the computer at all. So 6 months is a good enough time to kind of engage with it and get comfortable with it. But yes, I mean, if you have to kind of look at the entire thing, it's definitely an advantage for people who are prone to working on the computer.
One quick and last question, Shiva Kumar, if you could tell us what kind of practice would be required, and companies like yours who have been advising, how much of time should students spend on practicing on this new format?
I would say the significant shift in test taking must move to this format. You could practice your tests, some of the tests on paper, just to get comfortable with the idea of taking the test. But for it to be a real practice, simulated practice, you must shift at least 60 to 70% of your practice time of test taking onto the computer.
Thanks, Shiva Kumar. Thanks very much for